Welcome to Will's Box Song Pod, a show where we dig deep into the songs and artists that move us and how we're moved to craft the songs we write. I'm Tim Wilsbach, and I write, release, and perform music as Wilsbach, and you can find me anywhere you stream music. Let's dig in. Just a quick programming note for this particular episode. Much like our wine and or whiskey-fueled discussions backstage, Gio and I grab a hold of several F-bombs. So just fair warning, if there are little ears around, you're going to hear some F-bombs. Welcome to the inaugural episode, the pilot, if you will, of Will's Box Song Pod is what we're calling the working title. Much like a hurricane, force wind in his beloved Dominican Republic, my guest today is a creative force of nature. He's not only a deeply emotional human who has written, recorded, and released relatable rock and roll soul with his bands Spiga, The Holy Broken, Blanco and Junk, Shoe Show. He curates and celebrates new music and artists via his Truckstop Mixtape project, fronts a 70s AM gold cover band, The Dirty Lowdown, and hosts Sunday Night Live at Nabu, a little wine tasting room here in Westlake Village, California. He also hosts the Truckstop Mixtape singer-songwriter night there, which is actually where we met at Nabu. Giovanny Blanco, welcome to Will's Box Song Pod. It's so nice to have you.
Thank you for the invitation, sir. It's always a pleasure and an honor to be involved in your creative endeavors. Thank you for the beautiful intro, and I hope to live up to your presentation.
I'm sure that you will. So I mentioned Dominican. Like, you were born in the Dominican, or you were
born in Brooklyn, New York. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, to Dominican parents, and then when I was 10, we moved there, and I lived there from the ages of 10 to 16.
And then Hartford
came
after
back
that.
To the States, yeah. The geography report is Brooklyn, Boston.
Oh, Boston.
Jersey City, New Jersey, Dominican Republic, Hartford, New York, Hartford, and then LA.
Gotcha. All right. And now that seems like you've been in LA for a while. So
I've lived in LA more
home.
than any other place combined.
Yeah.
So that's like
Gotcha.
my second half of my life.
All right. So the first band I want to talk about is The Holy Broken.
Yes. Well, the name The Holy Broken came from a book called The Holy and the Broken. That's about the song. It's about the influence of the song Hallelujah, and how Leonard Cohen's version and what's that amazing guy who fucking died? Jeff Buckley, how those versions, like the differences in how it's become an anthem in this country for many things that had nothing to do with what the song's about.
Right.
It's a very interesting book, but the spine itself, the book was called The Holy and the Broken, but for some reason, the two words that were big were holy and broken.
Yeah.
And when I saw those two words together, I'm like, that's just,
No, it's a great name.
So I put an ad out in Craigslist. I put a picture of the J. Giles band in the 70s, which was like that. 6-7 guys who they're all dressed like pimps, and they're all crazy, and white dudes from Boston and shit like that. And I don't know. To me, it was just like, this is like in my mind. I see this picture, and crazy long description. And I had many people respond, and mainly the responses were like, "Yeah, I don't understand this. I don't know about it."
Yeah, and Craigslist is a crazy place.
Yes,
man.
You open that door, and it's like. But then one of the responses was like, "I like this idea. Can you please give me a call?" But I didn't call right away. Obviously, you have your filtering process of how you're dealing with Craigslist. I was just like, I saw the number, and I'm like, okay, what's the area code? Where is this person calling from?
Yeah.
But 5 minutes later, I got another email from that same person, and it was just like, wait a minute. It said, wait a minute, is this Gio? And I'm like,
oh no, you tracked me down. How did you get this number?
It was Scott Persico.
Yeah.
Who had said, after rereading it, I just thought, this is the only person that talks like this. That the way, it had to be Gio. And Sorry, getting a call.
Do you? I'm sorry. Do you still have a landline? Is that
Yes,
what
I
I'm
do.
hearing?
Yes, I do.
Wow.
I live in Topanga.
You are true. Okay, I mean so you don't get cell.
The
Is that what
reception
you're
here
saying?
is horrible.
Gotcha. So you
So
have
it's
to have a
like,
landline.
to live with a
I just thought it was maybe part of just your 70s kind of aesthetic
yeah,
that
yeah.
you're going. And
It
I'm
is
picturing like an olive green like handset with the curly cord
with the ring.
rotary. So Scott Persico, who's an amazing guitarist, by the way, I was listening to some Holy Broken yesterday, and just he's so good. And it's funny story about him. Just a little sidetrack.
Yeah.
He plays those PRS guitars. He's got that awesome tone, and he's a great player. I have my own personal Scott Persico that
Yeah.
I don't have him as much because he lives in Indianapolis. But he's the guy that basically produced, recorded, mixed, and mastered my first Wilsbach record, Indianapolis Angeles.
Indianapolis.
But he's my Scott Persico. Amazing guitar player. His tone is fantastic. Anyway, so when I first met him and talked with him, I'm like, oh, I know you. I don't know you, but I know who you are because I
Yeah.
know that person. Anyway, Scott Persico, he's emailing you. He found you.
So
How did you
yeah,
get
so
this
this
number?
is approximately 6 months after we had jammed together in his
Yeah,
blues band.
gotcha.
So I called him. It's like I told him the situation. I explained it to him. I'm like, look, I want to write some songs. I want to put a band together. And he's like, I'm willing to like, I've got ideas, And he started sending me, he sent me a couple of song ideas, whatever. And the first thing he sent me, I loved immediately. And it was just two parts.
What did that end up being a song? What song was that he sent?
That was a party.
Oh, okay. I love that song.
Yeah. And it was just like a 4-chord progression. And then the other one was just like, using some of the same chords, doing a different thing, right?
Yeah.
I took the two ideas, right, and I just started arranging this thing. I found a drum beat that I liked, and I just kind
So
of
what he
stretched
sent
things
you
out.
was just guitar. He
And
just
he
sent you
just sent me like a
guitar.
guitar idea, like from an iPhone kind of recording.
Okay, gotcha.
And I laid out this song, like this song idea, and that was a party was in my head. I started singing, and the melody that the song became is the melody that I sang that first time. And I sent it back to Scott, and he fucking freaked out. He was just like, did just happen in the last couple of hours? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, this is like, I'm loving this.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, let's get together. And we started jamming and we started writing songs and I called a week later,
the Burbank bar.
the Burbank bar. And she said, yeah, why don't you take this day and whatever. And we took a residency. We played the first one and it was so much fun. And I said, look, here's what's going to happen. We're going to do this every month. And every month, if we can't come up with a song to play, a new song that we've written, we're not playing.
I love that.
I love
and
that.
It
just became a
thing.
thing.
Again, back to the deadline thing, right? You're deadline driven
thing. And we were kind of knocking off songs anyway. We're like just trying out ideas. But I feel like people miss out when they release things too soon. There's a recorded thing. Like, you can be a craftsman and be a master in the studio environment and record an idea or make a song. And it sounds like a song.
Right.
But it be missing one crucial element, whether it's heart or it's like the connectivity to the listener. Playing out a song, even if you're playing it out to two people,
that's the true test.
Puts you in a place. I call it sphincter action. You're so nervous about playing that you're like, even if you've rehearsed it 100 times or you rehearsed it once, but something else comes out. It's like some, weird thing, or the truth comes out. This song is shit.
Yeah. Right. No, absolutely.
And it sounded like okay when I recorded it, but it's wonky or it's this or whatever. And man, there's just like no better test. And it's not even about, like I said, it's not about the audience reception necessarily. It's
part of it for me, at least.
But it's your perception of that. It's like it's like how you react to the audience.
But the audience being there is integral to that.
Oh, totally.
It's the catalyst, right? Yeah, you need that.
It's letting go. It's like letting go,
right?
And that's when okay, this line didn't work, or
it
needs a solo, it needs this or whatever.
I mean, we talk about, we use that word release, like, release this song, right? And, you recorded it in the studio and you got it pristine and you got, the hand claps exactly where they need to be. And the guitar is on the right channel and this one's over here and it's perfect and pristine. And I released it into the world. And then you don't ever get to see how people react to that. But when you're playing it, like you're saying, when you're playing it live, you literally are releasing it into the air and into the ear holes of the people who are assembled in a sports bar in Burbank. And they either are going to look at you with passive indifference or they're going to connect to it in some way. But yeah, that's super important to like get out and literally release your song into the world and have it bounce back at you and figure out what's working, what isn't.
It's crucial.
Right.
Because
so you use that Burbank residency to kind of shape the Holy Broken songs. Is that what?
to have a reason to keep a band going almost.
Gotcha. Let's go back to that first song from the Holy Broken that Scott sent you. That's definitely one that I wanted to talk about. That was a party. So tell me about the lyric on that one, because that one to me sounds like a very specific time period in Gio's life. Is that like a high school Hartford kind of thing, or is it fictional? Is it real? Is it a mix? Like tell me about it.
It's all real. Look at the lyrics. For me, I'm a big Prince fan and ridiculously big Prince fan.
Yeah.
When I got the song from Scott, it was December of 2015.
Okay.
And I had that was a party melody and we played it out even and I just sang nonsense. But when Prince died 4 months later, and we had played the song a couple of times at that point, but when he died, instantly I knew what the song was about and the lyrics came out like right away. But I had, the road was already paved.
Right.
It was already like I knew the turns, I knew so everything came out. And so in that song, the first verse is when I really discovered, the first time I discovered Prince. And then the second verse is when I was having sort of communal experiences around Prince, where like it was a group of friends that we would just go do crazy things and have fun and get high or get loose and with Prince in the background. And the third verse is about how I can't believe that he's gone.
Baby bro's a year younger than me, and I'm tripping on the side of the teen, and the girls look the same but much older. Purple rain in the VCR, and by the end we're all a star, and we are all a little bit bolder. Yeah, that was a party. That was a party. I remember the times when we were mad. That was a party. That was a party. That was a party. I remember the times when we were bad. That was a party. We were blessed, we were stoned, all together, all alone.
There's clearly a story that is relatable in the verse, and then the chorus is the gospel of just the general, that was a party, that was such a good time of my life, of whatever. It's super relatable. Your vocals on that are incredible, and like I love that song, and the guitar work is great. So that started as just a little piece that Scott sent you that you kind of produced
in GarageBand of all recording softwares.
And then what a lot of people do these days is they do that thing you're talking about. They have the track and then they just let it roll and repeat, and you sing nonsense until your subconscious goes, wait, what was that? What was that I just put in there? And then you kind of keep massaging it. You, instead of doing that in GarageBand or Logic or whatever, you're doing that once a month at the Park Bar.
Or rehearsals.
Live.
We would record
or rehearsals or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's the same kind of thing, but
I've always written songs that way, and part of that, lyrics that way. The first band that I was ever in when I came back to the States was a band called Meaningful Mindlessness in high school. This band was all improvisational. So they would pick a few chords and go down this road.
Yeah.
We would have to like improvise melody, improvise parts. It's like one thing for you to like listen to like a demo recording over and over. It's another when you got live drums behind you, when you got like something, and it's like, as long as you're in key, as long as you're like with the groove, you can do anything. And that short-lived band, which is only like maybe like a year in high school, it was so crucial for the rest of my life because I'm not afraid of that. Okay. Just start saying whatever comes to mind, you know?
Yeah.
And because it's all it is. It's just words.
Right.
You know, and like, and I say this, people's like, well, it's got to mean something. I'm like, you know what? It does. But how many times have you thought a song meant something and then you heard an interview with the writer and they go, oh, the song is about this. And you go like, what?
Yeah, right. So, I mean, that's a good song, right? It leaves that space for the audience member to fill it in and have that emotional connection. And it's just enough of a shape to be like, hey, it's a Rorschach test almost, right?
It completely is. And that's why the first thing needs to be the vibe, because that's the door that opens. Somebody goes in, and once they go in, it's up to them if they want to like inspect every aspect of it, or if they just want to go for the ride. And
reminds me of this Kelly Clarkson interview with Dave Grohl. He's on like her talk show, and I think you can find this clip on YouTube or something. But she asks him about learning to fly, and she's taking it as like, you know, it's this new beginning, and like, you know, I'm learning to walk, learning to fly, all that. You know, it's a song about renewal, right?
Yeah, starting over.
And she goes on this like, you know, monologue about how much it means to her and wow, what a great thing. And she's like, I think she's assuming, I don't remember, I'd have to look at it again, but I think she's assuming it was born out of like Nirvana ending and Foo Fighters beginning. And Dave's like, no, that's great. I literally wrote that song about learning how to fly an airplane. So it's like what you're saying. But that's what makes to me, that's what makes a really great song is something relatable that you can grab onto as a listener, but you can fill it in. You know, it's almost like one of those coloring books where, you know, it's the outline of the picture, but you've got the box of crayons and you can make it abstract, or you can make it look exactly like the thing, or you can make it weird.
You can draw a mustache on it. Or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's as a person who creates or builds anything, craft is always in the picture. Craft is always there.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned Dave Grohl, which is why I thought of it. Like Dave Grohl for me is like, he's a craftsman, right? But and a master at that, at what he does. But I know that initially where he comes from is always gut.
Yeah.
Because all his songs, that no matter how repetitious he may be in his style, or like similar, like he does a certain thing, right? It's still like the edge that we were talking about, the sort of like, I'm just gonna push it to like wherever, like, you know, whatever the red pops up spiritually.
Yeah. Right.
I just like, you know, and I always feel that from him.
Yeah.
But I know that he's such a master craftsman that I know what to expect in his songs. You know, like as far as like, you know, there's going to be a hook here. This is going to be a double chorus. This is going to be this. This is going to be a solo. This is going to be whatever.
Well, it's like it's like you were saying earlier. You start with the vibe, or you start with the mood, or for him, what you're saying, he starts with his gut, whatever he's feeling or whatever. And you get that emotion, right? Get that emotion out again. Let's throw on the other side of the speaker. But then, your craftsman, you know, it's like you're walking along the beach and you find this great, you know, log was rolled up on the beach.
Say dead body, but
dead body. No, that's a different podcast. Different podcast. That's the murder. There's a lot of murder ones. This is one about songs.
We don't need to add to that.
Yeah.
I just found your title, by the way.
You did what?
I just found the title for your podcast. No murders in this building.
No. That's hilarious. I love it. But yeah, it's like the raw material, but you can see like a sculpture in it. And then the crafts part is like taking the knife to it and like carving away and finding out that, oh, it's just a little tiki doll. See, but it started as a washed up, log on the beach.
Yeah, I mean, but we're the washed up log. You know what I mean? It's like that's like I feel like that's where like you have to
you're the sculptor and the clay is what you're saying.
Exactly.
So songwriting heroes of yours, you've mentioned Leonard Cohen.
Yeah.
You mentioned Prince is obviously a big one for you.
Prince is huge. Songwriting. I mean, there's some. I love pop music, man.
Yeah, a nice tight pop song is what you're.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
man.
I'm with you on that.
There's a song that for me is like one of my top 5 songs ever written, and it's a song called "Don't Give Up on Me." It was recorded or made known to me by an artist named Solomon Burke, who was a singer from the 60s, a soul singer who had a sort of resurgence in the early 2000s when another great songwriter named Joe Henry decided to produce him and release this album called "Don't Give Up on Me." That's just raw and emotional. But there's this song, "Don't Give Up on Me" was actually written by a guy named Dan Penn, who is like a legendary songwriter who I didn't really know anything about, but I knew like a bunch of his songs. And once I made that connection, I was like, oh, and I see, I can hear and feel, like he wrote "Cry Like a Man." He wrote "I'm Your Puppet." That's like such a famous like 60s song. I'm a puppet. He wrote "Dark End of the Street," which is another amazing, these are all like old soul songs. And it was just like, he's a white boy from Alabama.
Yeah.
His thing is his honesty. It's like, he's just like very straightforward. I don't have necessarily any songwriting heroes. I love Tom Petty because his songs are so deceivingly like straightforward.
Yeah.
And he loves cowboy chords. He doesn't fuck around with like fancy chords or anything, but he finds ways of keeping things interesting and
you've totally nailed it. Tom Petty is the master of a simple, relatable, emotional truth. He's got cool in the grasp on cool. Yeah, totally a master of the pop rock song for sure. What would you call the music that you write? Like I in my intro I called you rock and roll soul.
That's my banner, man. Rock and soul. Rock. I mean, I would definitely say that rock and soul. But I love all kinds of music. I mean, it's not a genre specific.
But you're writing songs that would fit on the radio somewhere, like a nice.
That's it. Yeah. To me, it's always like, even if it's like a dark song, it's like I always want like, where's the hook? What's the part that people are going to sing again?
Right. You're writing for hooks. Teach the people how to sing along, and as soon as they can.
And I don't think that anybody goes in with that. You know what I mean? You don't go in like, okay, let me find this hook. You know what I mean? It's like you do what you do. Yeah. That's how I do it. You do what you do.
I don't know that anybody does that. I think a lot of the top 40 stuff is, when you go and you look and see who wrote it and there's 12 different writers. And not that this is bad or good, or I'm just saying that there definitely is a science to some of it. And there are absolutely people who are dialing in every tiny little aspect of every piece and part of the song.
I think that it's mainly because the sort of like devaluation of what songwriting means, in the sense of, let's put it in another aspect. Let's say you're an architect and you wrote the plans for a house, and you drew up the plans for a house. And here comes the construction crew, the contractors, and they build the house according to your plans. Your plan might have said, you know what, the walls are going to be white. And the contractor might have gone, I'm making them yellow, right? They're your plans. You know what I mean? When the contractor decides to paint the house yellow, that's a choice. In the same way, if a drummer decides to lean forward on the beat or add an extra kick, and you wrote out this is the tempo, this is whatever. And the drummer's going to go, dude, hey, I added that extra kick. So I kind of co-wrote the song. That's what's happening in music today because there's so little elements involved that the second somebody goes, you know what, you should say sky instead of ground.
Right.
They instantly co-write the song.
Right. Yeah. It's
Where
like, what's the
before
saying
in a
now? If you were
room,
in the room, you're in,
like the
you're on
producer's
the,
going like, you know what? I don't think this is making sense. Maybe you should think about your childhood. And the girl writing the song goes, oh yeah, let me bring this up or whatever. And then it's like, the producer doesn't go, I wrote that because I told you that you
right.
should, you know what I mean? And I feel like
Yeah.
that's what's happening, that everyone's just like, my piece. And all of a sudden there's 12, like, how are there 12 people writing a shitty fucking pop song? There aren't 12 people. There are 12 people in the room because they've got
Right.
handlers, they've got
Yeah.
producers, got assistants. And so everyone's going like, where's my piece?
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck you and your piece. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Well, it's like, it's like, what is a song, right? Like how much of it is what part of that is arrangement? What part of that, what, if you boil it down, what the song is, the melody and the lyric, right? Like, and what you put underneath it, chords, production, all of it, that can all change.
That
The
can all
Solomon
change.
Burke thing, right?
But
Like,
if you're a producer, then
yeah.
if you're changing up a song that exists and doing it differently, then you're an arranger.
Yeah.
You're not a songwriter.
Right.
Even if you change the lyrics to a different language,
Yeah.
you're not a songwriter.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to split up, a third of a penny between 12 people, which is
isn't that what
Spotify pays?
The fight doesn't exist if there was real money involved.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, right? Everybody's just
money involved.
fighting for a piece.
Playing this awesome guitar. Here's a ton of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
all right. So we talked about the Holy Broken. So after the Holy Broken ended,
yes,
then you started Blanco and Junk right away, a little bit after. And Blanco and Junk is who? Basically you and Jeremy?
No, Blanco and Junk is just me and my junk.
Oh, okay. I always thought Jeremy was Junk. But anyway, Blanco and Junk is the next project after Holy Broken.
And Blanco and Junk just really kind of comes out of, it's more of a pandemic thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Mainly because, again, I've done most of my stuff in collaboration form. The limitations of being able to kind of be with other people during the lockdown put me at a place where I was like, what do I do now? And there were online collaborations. There were things that happened that way, separately, not in the same room. But then, I was just like, okay, I just got to start playing songs by myself. And that's how, that was the impetus for the idea of like, okay, my birthday's coming up. I need to do something. I write a bunch of songs. And it came about that way, but it's definitely kicked off from me trying to learn some songs,
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you about one in particular, and we already had a great discussion about this song, but I didn't hit the record button because I'm a rookie. Apparently, it's not like I've been doing this kind of thing for 20 years.
We don't need to air out the dirty details. It's okay. So, nobody knows.
Yeah,
In fact,
exactly.
This moment never exists.
We'll edit all this out. I do want to ask you about one of the songs on The Emotionalist, though. And my old mind has gone blank. The only way is the one that I wanted to ask you about. So if anybody knows your stuff, it's typically, you've got a big voice. You've got an excellent voice. It's usually big, a little bombastic. This particular song stands out to me because it's not necessarily that kind of traditional Geo style. It's a little more kind of subdued, almost talky in places. So I can hear that there's something behind that song, and I'm drawn to it a little bit. So tell me about how that song came about, and just talk about that song.
Yes, the initially the musical element of it came from me trying to learn the song Everybody Knows by Leonard Cohen. I was just trying to find a playing style, and somehow I found different chords that I was digging, and I came up with this thing. It was just like, oh, okay, cool. But then when I tried to sing on top of it, because of the chords that I chose and where I wanted to go, I felt like I couldn't go high. So I had to kind of talk it. I was already in Leonard Cohen land. But lyrically, the song was partially inspired by the idea behind a phrase that I always like to repeat, which is a song from Sammy Hagar. That
Okay.
there's only one way to rock.
I never would have guessed that this song came from a Sammy Hagar song. That's an interesting connection.
The idea of I always loved that idea that there's like, when somebody goes like, how are we going to do this? And I always like to say, well, there's only one way to rock. And it's like, it's just basically like, how are we going to do this? We're going to do it always with everything we've got, like we're going to just lay it all out and not hold back. And then in that, just thinking about that line, it made me think about how that's the same way to kind of like find a truth or push through something difficult. You can't go at it a little at a time. You can't pretend. You can't half-ass it. You have to kind of, bad things happen. You have to go through them. You have to like feel them inside and out before you actually kind of get over them. And that was like the process. So as I was writing lyrics, as I was doing the melody, and this is one of those rare songs where the lyrics and the melody were kind of coming together at the same time, as opposed to a song that I live with, because in this, a lot of the emotionalist stuff I wrote within, well, not all of it, like I wrote like 14, 15 songs in 10 days, and they were all, I was writing them. Like, I wasn't like, oh, here's the melody and let me just live with this for a little bit and come back to it. I was writing because the purpose was to kind of record an album by myself. And,
so unlike the Holy Broken, this project where Holy Broken, a lot of those you found in rehearsal or on the stage with the band. Blanco and Junk is you more kind of brooding artist in your home studio.
And the only person that I had people, I would send, the second I'd finish a song, I'd send songs to people. Like I'd said, like, hey, can you record a bass line? Listen to this bass and record this keyboard or this piano or whatever. So I had some collaboration in that respect. And in person at the time, I had Jeremy. So Jeremy would come over and be like, look, listen to this fucking awful guitar. Please play something beautiful. And he always came through with the cool riff or the cool vibe. And he was like, he's definitely, if I had a full on collaborator on that, it was Jeremy. But it was
Jeremy. Gotcha.
But that song, the lyrics were coming out, but by the time I was done, I realized that it was actually about something else. And it was like a love letter to my better half, because it was really a song about, look, I'm crazy. You're crazy. We go through these many different situations and problems. If you're in a long-term relationship, that's ups and downs and everything. But the key is not to give up on each other and just to hold on to each other.
The only way to get over is through. There ain't no golden ticket, it's just me and you. Ain't no shortcuts to salvation, no express line to the truth. The only way to get over is through. The only way out is through. You better leave your baggage behind, there's only room for two. There ain't no just in cases or maybes, where the permitting is no excuse.
So the first verse, I think, the only way over. The second verse is the only way out, and the last verse is the only way in. But then the bridge says this thing that this is when, after the fact, or as I was finishing up, I realized what it was about. If we're in this together, you can't push and I can't pull, and we can't hide. Everything is in plain view. If this is supposed to be forever, then there's no better time to light it all up and watch it burn right through. We can always start anew. The only way in is through. The only way to rock. Oh, there's only, and through the line in there, there's only one way to rock. Who knew?
Yeah, that's amazing.
And it's just like, I don't know, like I find sometimes it's that this is what I was trying to say before when I said you might agree with me, where sometimes you write a song and I feel like the songs that have connected the most with other people tend to be the songs that I thought about the less as I was writing them.
Yeah.
You know, and this was definitely one of them that when I was done, you know, I was like, oh, okay, this song's about this. And I knew it had something. I knew there was something special to it. But I didn't know. And it's the song from the Blanco and Junk stuff. It's the one that kind of people come back to, and they always like go like, hey, you know, like I've had,
you're saying this the only way is the one that people connect to? Yeah.
Like I've had friends repost a song and them send me comments from people who are in the industry or whatever. They're like, you know, like who did this? Just release this right away. I'm like, it's released. It's out there.
It's in the world. What are you waiting for? Listen to the damn thing.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a song too. There's another song that that I feel very strong about. There was a Holy Broken song called East Side Fade Away.
Uh-huh.
And it was another song that was just like, it was built on the sort of like the most delicate thread of just two guitar chords going over and over.
Yeah.
That Scott had played, and just like it was one of those little things that he had sent me, and the song kind of came out of this idea that the East Side always gets the shade, right? Like because it's going in one direction.
Uh-huh.
It gets the same amount. I'm saying it doesn't. You know, I'm not trying to prove some sort of scientific theory here. It's like saying like, hey, you and I are standing together, and someone says you guys are great, but then they go to you first and like, you're really good, and they go, you're all right too. You know what I mean? And I feel like the East Side kind of, because of the direction of where the sun is going, it's like just this, I don't know, just like the idea that somehow you're not good enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That even that you're doing the things that you're supposed to do. You're killing it. You're doing the thing. And somehow you're not seen or felt in high regard as your peer or as the other person is doing the same or less than you.
Yeah.
You know, and I got that, you know, I got bogged down with that because I know that it's a feeling that we always feel.
Like comparison is a thief of joy kind of thing, right?
Yeah. It's like how, you know, why I'm doing the same thing that this next person is doing.
Yeah.
Why am I not getting?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I feel that for sure. Yeah. So you're saying people have connected to that, or that's
to
just
this
what
song, but it's a song that when we in the Holy Broken, in the first year or two we were together, we would play that song, and after the shows, someone would come up to me and say, you know, like I've had people say like, what the fuck was that song? I was crying when I was hearing that song. Like, and I'm like, you know, I'm about to cry thinking of just not thinking about the song, but thinking about that reaction, like how that affected me. Because I don't know, like, you know, it's like you don't know as you're doing it because you don't approach songs differently. You know what I mean? Like you're going back to the Sammy Hagar thing. You're always fucking going in, man, with all you got and the best that you feel that you have at the moment.
Yeah.
It's like you don't ever go like, you know what, this is too much good for this song. Let me pull back. You know, you never do that. You might pull back in an element, but you never go, this song, you know, it's too good. Let me fucking, you know.
Yeah, so, I mean, if anything, you're protecting the other way, right? Like, at least for me, I know, like, especially early in my career of songwriting, like, I would have an emotion that I would want to get out there, but I'm like, I don't want to say the thing because that's too opening up, right? Like I'm going to hide it behind some like overly poetic, line that I think sounds cool. And then what ends up happening is nobody knows what the fuck the song is about because you never actually said what the song is about. Like that's my growth as a writer, I hope anyway, has been, I know it has been to like be a little more open and be a little more simple, be a little more Tom Petty about it, right? Like it's simple. Straightforward. Here's the thing. Authentic. Be authentic.
Yeah,
So it's that, and that's that kind of thing that connects with people, which is what you're seeing and reacting to when you play that East Side Fadeaway song.
And a lot of it is just like getting out of your own way. You know what I mean? Like I said, like the ideas of concepts of how things should be done. Sometimes they can bog you down, or you feel like whatever. And craft doesn't come first. I try not to go in knowing what I'm doing or what I'm writing about. It just kind of rolls out. And then sometimes it's all there. Sometimes it's like, you know what okay. This word needs to be different because what I'm saying is this.
Right.
And you change the one thing, whatever.
Yeah. It's like, what's that saying? Write drunk, edit sober.
Right.
Right.
That's right. Like write that fucking first draft completely.
Yeah. Just get it out there. Get it on the page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the last verse of the song for me, like revealed to me why maybe these things weren't happening to me. And it's not that they're not happening because we all get accolades. We all get those moments where people are like appreciating what we do. And that's the truth. But sometimes you don't feel that way. And when you don't feel that way, it's because you're looking for the wrong thing. Yeah. It's because you're looking for that, and you shouldn't be looking for that. You should never be looking for, someone to pat you on the back. You should never be looking for approval for your own self-expression. You know what I mean? You should just be doing it and look for hopefully a connection, but not like somebody going like, that was cool.
I broke your heart 2 times or maybe 3 because I thought you would stay. I convinced myself I was stone when I knew deep down inside I was just clay. I'm a fool to think that things would ever go my way. Shared the spotlight, all I got was shade of an East Side fadeaway.
To me, it's because the second you try to fucking manipulate that in a way that if you're looking for honest outcome for anything, you have to go in honest. You can't go in like, let me manipulate this so it gets this sort of like, let me push this button in a way so it does this. You get out what you put in, period. And that sounds as simple as fuck. But I don't know. That was my realization for this song. But anyway, the another thing that I wanted to say about this song is that as you know, during the lockdown, I had this thing called Truckstop Mixtape, the weekly live stream I was doing. I called it that, where I was just sharing music from all the people that I knew and friends of friends online that were making music and doing things in the lockdown, were being creative. And I was just sharing that. And there was this one artist and a singer named Frank Watkinson in the UK, who I fell in love with. And he was just doing covers of songs, and he would just turn any song into the most depressing song ever in the best way possible.
Yeah.
And I interviewed him and whatever. And he asked me about that song, and he fucking covered it. And like this guy just fucking took the song and like destroyed it, like just made it his own.
What a great compliment.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that, when we as songwriters, we do these things, we put these things out, or anybody creative put things out, is that you really just want not only for it to be a connection to somebody else, or somebody to find something in it, maybe something of their own experience to add to it, but ideally you want to feel like somebody else has it, like, or like it's
Yeah.
like, or it's part of the world, or it's alive and doing well. It had enough in it for it to flourish on its own,
Yeah.
because so many of the things that we do just like come out in a thud and just like drop and disappear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, and I'm not saying it's a fame thing. Like I said, it's just one person,
Yeah.
Well,
You have definitely affected more than just one person. And specifically our little community, but I think through your Truckstop Mixtape, it's even bigger than that. You deserve to have a giant audience, larger than you do.
we all do, brother.
But you are absolutely appreciated by, I know this for a fact, a ton of people in this little community. And you definitely do connect people, and the beautiful music you put out into the world is a gift to everybody. Also, a gift is spending all your morning talking to me about songs. I thank you so much for being here on the first Willsbox Song Pod. Let's just call it that for the moment. But Gio, thank you so much. I've immensely enjoyed this chat. I could talk to you for another 2 hours. I'm going to have you back for a part 2. I already know it. So
yeah. And likewise,
down the road, when I get the kinks worked out, I'll have you back on and we'll talk some more. But this has been great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.